Gavana, and welcome, friends, to another episode of the Lord of the Wrongs podcast, the only Tolkien podcast that the professor himself would dismiss as juvenile and crass. I am Dan Zerbe, and I am here with my co-host Sean Kelly, and we'll be discussing the writings, adaptation, and news around J.R.R. Tolkien's Legendarium in a way that fills the void left by other podcasts that use intelligence and critical thinking and that sort of thing. We're going to make mostly pop culture references and dumb jokes.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Right? I mean, that's what we're going for here. Not so highbrow, podcasting here.
Yeah, you might even call it lowbrow. Yeah.
I mean, lowbrow just sounds so.
We'll go with medium brow humor.
Yeah, we'll keep it at a medium brow. Yeah, lowbrow is that joke I made yesterday, and we were like, okay, yeah, let's bring it in a little bit. That's a little too much.
We don't want to appeal directly to anybody here. Just not please anybody with our humor, except for
we want to make sure that everybody who might listen to this feels completely alienated by what we're doing. So let's start talking about some Tolkien stuff. Yesterday I don't have a hard copy, I realized, of Unfinished Tales, so I purchased one on the internet yesterday. It should be coming today. I've listened to the audiobook of that a couple times, but I really love audiobooks. I love listening to various Tolkien audiobooks, especially the Andy Serkis stuff is really wonderful readings of these books. But I do find that I have an easier time not actually listening. Like it's easy for me to
zone out.
Yeah, just to zone out and not actually hear what the actual
I will say.
So I like having the actual physical book myself a lot of the time.
It's definitely easier, I feel like, listening to the ones you've read already, and the easier to, like, listening to an audiobook of the Silmarillion, you're just going to get lost pretty quickly.
Just like reading the Silmarillion, you get lost pretty quickly. But I agree with you that it's the older writing, or the writings from the first age that Tolkien didn't finish any of. Really, a lot
of names and places and stuff to remember.
Names, places, but then also every character has like 3 names that they go by too.
Yeah, which is kind of tough when you're just hearing it and you can't just be like, all right, hang on, what was I just gotta look one page back here. And you're just like, all right, I'll skip back 45 seconds, and then, that's too far. Yeah,
I know. I feel like I should be dog-earing the index in the Silmarillion so I could at least easily flip to another page. Or maybe I should, I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, I want to make a flow chart to make this easy for myself. And then I'm like, this is really complicated. I'm not good at this sort of thing actually at all. Yeah.
But no, I've never read Unfinished Tales, but I've sort of gotten a synopsis on most of it. There's some interesting stuff in there for sure.
Some great stuff. I mean, my favorite stuff is always going to be the stuff that was left out of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. I mean, besides being completely finished works, they're friendlier than, especially The Hobbit. They're just friendlier than the Silmarillion and a lot of the other
unfinished things.
A lot of the other unfinished things. Yeah,
but obviously it is nice to have those in order to get a bigger.
If you don't read those, you're missing out on a lot of amazing stories and
for sure,
and world building. So
right, well, do you want to ask a question first, or would you like me to shoot?
Okay, so I do have one that I'm gonna ask, and yet have not really thought about my own answer to this question.
Okay,
so
good.
If we're let's, to make this simpler, this question will be like just Lord of the Rings. What are your favorite moments in the books of the Lord of the Rings, the book, and what's your favorite moments in the movies? Are there crossover? Or are there things like, this is your favorite moment in the movie and the books? Are there parts that you love this in the book, not so much in the movie, vice versa?
I think as far as the books go, one of my favorite moments is, I love the Dunedain and the when the Grey Company is going through and they get to Eric and all that is just sort of awesome to me. And then them like showing up at Pelennor Fields. Oh, well, I was just gonna say it's kind of, in the books, it felt more like a triumph of men and Aragorn himself to just bring these actual people to uh, Pelennor than to just like sort of summon a magical army of the dead.
Yeah, it did. It was more like that in the movies, especially in the extended editions where you have like the giant landslide of skulls, which
Yeah, that was strange,
was
but
really
it was
cool. Well, it's
cool.
like it's cool, but it's like this is very much Peter Jackson's cheap horror movie roots,
Yeah,
which
it
I
wasn't as
love. I'm a
gratifying.
huge fan of his stuff that he did
Oh yeah,
before.
and I
Like
think that what he brought to
Dead
those
Alive is a
movies
great movie.
from there was awesome for sure. That
Yeah,
angle.
because even though they're very different, and that scene where Aragorn's going to, to the army of the dead, it's I totally lost what I was going to say. Damn it! All right, it's lost. It's
That's all right.
gone. It was there, and
Well,
it
all right.
just disappeared. It's fine. It's not
As
important.
far as the movies, I feel like that's a hard one. I feel like one of my favorite parts might be Gandalf at the bridge with the Balrog,
Oh yeah,
because you know
Ian McKellen is
whatever.
such an amazing
Yeah,
Gandalf, and he
he
does
was
that scene
great,
so
and they
beautifully.
made the Balrog so terrifying and awesome.
They did. It's
I
true.
think that is like a triumph of the movies.
I agree. Even though the Balrog in the movie has wings, and the wings in the book are
Quite
metaphorical,
literal,
or
yes. Quite
yeah.
literal.
But yeah, I mean the design of that character. I mean
Yeah, no, it was
the art
just
design in those
it
films is
rocked.
perfect. You can't. I'm like, even if it's not technically correct, all the visuals in the films are they're just beautiful. They're
Yeah, if you're
just
just
beautiful.
taking it as, the part from the movie, that was cool. That was
Yeah.
cool. And then
Imagine it
obviously
without the
getting
wings
things
if it
down.
bothers you that much, because it's so cool looking. It's like the Balrog is really cool looking.
Yeah, I mean, well, even I don't know, he's supposed to be more human-like,
A
whereas
person to
he's more
imagine
of
them with literal wings.
yeah,
Like
he's
there's
more
so
of
much art.
a demon in the movies, which is
Yeah, it seems in the book he's almost more corporeal even.
I actually have my wallpaper is a picture of the Fellowship escaping the Balrog, and it's a very cool interpretation. I'll have to send you that, but
Yeah, please do. That'd be really cool.
yeah, it's it was a cool moment in well, I mean both movies and books, but
Yeah.
just the way Ian McKellen just laid it down was
Yeah.
obviously awesome. So how about you? Have you given time to
Yeah,
think
now
about
I've
the answer
started
to
thinking
your own
about it. Like,
question?
I know I feel like when I'm at a restaurant and I don't know what to order, and everybody else has put their order in. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I
Yeah,
should
you
just
were
pick
just
something,
like, "Yeah,
huh?
we're ready, but you guys go first."
Yeah, it's like, are you ready to order? I'm like, I'll figure it out probably by the time you get to me. All right. So let's see. I'm trying to think my favorite moments in the movie. Well, actually, my favorite moments in the book Lord of the Rings and the films is pretty much anything that happens in the Shire. I love the Shire. I mean, when I first saw those movies, I think the idea of living there in that way, like, so it captured my imagination. I had such a fascination, and um
That is one thing they did a
s-
great job
I
with,
mean, it's
for
so
sure.
beautiful, and it seems so peaceful and relaxing. I'm like, man,
Idyllic,
I
yeah.
want to live in a hole in the ground. Not a
Yeah.
nasty, dirty, smelly, wet hole filled with the ends of worms
No.
and an oozy smell, nor yet a dry. Okay, I'm not going to do the whole first
Yeah, you
page of The
don't.
Hobbit, even though I could. I do have that first like few paragraphs of that book completely memorized. Um,
Well, let's not do the whole thing or else
I
we might
mean,
get in trouble.
I was going to say it's like if we put this out, we're definitely going to get a cease and desist letter if we start doing that. Um,
But
so
yeah,
So
I mean, they did a great
visually,
job.
especially, yeah. I mean, what they created in New Zealand there really is something very special, and
And in the
I'm
book,
not.
just
Yeah, oh
so
yeah. Well,
charming.
yeah, it's like the kind of English countryside. The technology only goes to a certain point. Hobbits don't like anything more complex than a forge bellows, and it's like I love that. Um,
Yeah, it's almost like they advanced beyond the rest of the world because it was so peaceful, but they also just kind of stopped of their own volition.
Yeah, because they didn't
point,
like
they
why
don't want to.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's something Tolkien talked about quite a bit, like the idea of progress for its own sake. He was very much against, and I'm I said before we started recording that I'm a bit of a Luddite, and I don't hate technology. I enjoy the convenience of the cell phone, the smartphone, and that we can do this with the on our computers, and it's all pretty cool. And also, it's I love the idea of just everything becoming a lot more simple,
not having
by getting rid of
that
technology.
Yeah, I mean, yes, cell phones are great, but also, it'd be great is if kids these days weren't just looking at their cell phones all day. Mm-hmm. But
cell phones are great, but it's also great? Plowing a field.
Yes, until you actually do it by hand with a mule or something, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm actually cool.
Right.
I'm fine with combine harvest.
It's like, as it turns out, oxen are not always cooperative if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be doing that, but yeah.
So to actually answer the question, I think so. I love in the books every parts of with Tom Bombadil, from Old Man Willow to the House of Tom Bombadil to the Barrow Downs chapter. I just love Tom Bombadil.
You're captured by the whimsy element. You're into the whimsy.
For sure. That's definitely what really caught me and drew me in when I first saw the Fellowship of the Ring.
You loved The Hobbit so much that I feel like that part really
book
a similar vibe to. Yes, the book.
It's like, let's be clear. I had a very, to be polite, I'll say, I have a complicated relationship with the movies, as I think most people do, and be polite to say it's complicated. But yeah, The Hobbit is my favorite book. It's my single favorite book.
Yeah, and that book. The beginning of the first half of the first quote unquote book of Lord of the Rings is
it's all Shire,
very Hobbity, and
it is
Tom Bombadil as well. The Barrow Downs get pretty creepy compared to, but there are creepy parts of Hobbit too. Just not quite as visceral, I guess.
Yeah, actually, that's kind of interesting because you think about the Barrow Downs in the book and the when the Grey Company is traveling through to Eric and all that. Those are both the scariest parts of the book. I mean, Tolkien was a really good. He could have been a great horror writer if he had a mind to be, because I mean, he really conveys, especially with the Grey Company. It's all so much of that is from the point of view of Gimli. And how he's just, even though he's so brave, he's still scared shitless. I mean, it's just, so yeah, both those scenes were really quite frightening, especially compared to the rest of the book. And neither of those, or both of those, are way scarier than anything in The Hobbit, for sure.
Yeah, because even the scary parts, quote unquote, in The Hobbit are, they're sort of toned down for the childlike.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah. Well, when the dwarves are, and Bilbo and Gandalf are crossing the Misty Mountains and they get captured by the goblins, it's like, it would have been a much scarier scene if it didn't have a song in the middle of it, even though the song itself is quite unpleasant, talking about how they whip and smack them around.
Every sort of bad verb you can do to something.
Oh yeah, it's always like, we're going to make sure they never see the light of day ever again.
Yeah,
but it's done in a whimsical way.
Yeah, those scenes are creepy on paper, but when you're if you're looking at it, just like, wow, that's actually terrible. Those goblins were about to eat everybody, but then it's
they ate those ponies.
It's like, oh, this is fun. They're getting captured by goblins and going.
What a fun adventure this is! I'm sure they'll be fine.
Yeah,
and they are. As it turns out, they are fine.
Well, of course they are. I mean, we know the ending to a lot of Tolkien stuff because he just likes to just put it up front. Yeah, this ends with a happy ending, and it's all good for you.
Unless you're Thorin, Fili, and Kili. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he
sorry, spoiler alerts, everybody.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert from this book from 1937.
Like 80 years old or whatever. All right, well, I've got another question. I'm trying to think of which to ask.
Here.
I feel like let's take it in a different direction here. If you could add one F-bomb to each movie, where would you put it?
Yeah, right. PG-13 does allow for that as long as it's not a reference to the act itself. It's
you can just
right. I think
like,
that's
I feel
the
like
rule.
one of them's got to come from Gimli. You know, they were playing him off for laughs in the movie.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, I feel like in the first one, when Gandalf sees the Balrog come out, and he has this one. I just remember this shot clearly of him turning around and having this like terrified look on his face.
Oh
If
yeah,
he just turned around and he's like, "Fuck,
fuck." Or "You shall not fucking pass." It'd be pretty good.
Or "Fly, you fucking fools." Yeah, I feel all right. Gandalf. I mean, he dies in the first one. Spoiler alert again.
Yeah,
I think he earns the F-bomb in the first movie.
if anybody gets it, I think in Fellowship, I think Gandalf has to get it for Yeah, he dies. It's like and he not only dies, he fights this Balrog knowing there's a good chance that he's going to die while doing that.
Oh yeah, that's a heroic
So
sacrifice.
if that doesn't earn you an F-bomb, I mean, I don't know what does.
I think Eru would forgive the F-bomb and still make, at least he would be Gandalf the like cream colored or something if he
it's like he gets demoted to Gandalf the brown. Like, I brought you back because you did sacrifice yourself, but didn't care for the language.
Little blasphemy there. Not a fan of that. I'm trying to think of what the second movie would be. Any thoughts about where it would go?
Let's see. Where would a F-bomb fit in the Two Towers? Well, I feel like there's a lot of good opportunity.
There are. I mean, Theoden getting stabbed with a spear, but that feels a little too genuine. You know?
Yeah, that's
he's sort of stoic. He's going to take that in silence. Is. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like I want to give it to Gandalf in the Two Towers as well. When the three hunters and Gandalf arrive at Edoras and they walk into Meduseld.
Oh, okay.
And Gandalf's like, "Be silent, keep your fucking forked tongue behind it." Behind your fucking teeth, maybe.
It's man, Gandalf he has too many good opportunities for that.
He's got so many great lines. I mean,
yeah, and
he's got a lot of great one-liners.
And of course,
both book and movie.
As we know, Tolkien loves base humor, and
he sure does.
And he definitely foul language is. I mean, he just peppered that in everywhere.
Oh,
definitely a big fan, I think.
Oh yeah, he really loved gross language. The more crude and the more pedestrian, the more he liked it.
Yeah, which is why he would.
That's why so much sex and gore. Yeah,
definitely
in all of his writings,
just in detail, just gruesome detail. All right, so that one's pretty solid. All right, 3, the Return of the King.
Yeah.
Okay. I just thought of one. I think when Frodo puts on the ring in Mount Doom and Sam is just looking on. Fuck.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good one. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it would feel so out of place if you were accenting something with an F-bomb.
Oh yeah. I mean, no matter what. So, do you think there's a place where it could fit and sound like it belongs there?
No, 100%.
I'm trying to imagine. Like, I don't imagine a situation where that actually.
Can you imagine you're reading the books and you're like 3/4 of the way through and he just drops that in there? It would just be so jarring.
Like, oh my god. Yeah. It's like, why?
It's like what? Is this an editing mistake? Yeah.
Was this a typo?
Yeah, I think we have
maybe it's some old English word that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, I don't know the roots of this. It's got to be Indo-European.
It's an old Germanic word. Yeah,
it's Nordic for sure.
It's Middle Norse actually. That's
you know how he loves that.
I feel like, I mean, if you were to actually hear an F-bomb in it, you would. I have to imagine it would be an orc. It would have to be an orc saying it.
Yeah, I mean, the only realistic way,
or the trolls, perhaps in the Hobbit. The only trolls that talk, as far as I think that's the only time in the Legendarium like trolls are seen actually speaking, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I love how Tolkien has this interesting thing where he just has random creatures talk when you're like, wait, they can talk. It's just like once. I don't know. There's a few instances. I don't have anything to support that, but like the fox.
Damn it, that's exactly what I was going to say. That is one of my favorite lines from any of his writings in The Lord of the Rings, when the fox strolls by the hobbits sleeping in the woods and just goes, "Oh, that's weird." Basically, I don't remember exactly what he says. It's like, "Oh, this is a peculiar."
Yeah, just
and I love the narrator after that. It's like, but he never found out any more about it. I love that. I mean, like, that is adorable.
Like, wait, you're saying this fox has a whole story?
Yeah. Well, it is funny, I think, because how different the tone is when you're reading Lord of the Rings. Like earlier in the book, it's, it maintained. Well, I shouldn't say it doesn't. It elevates the tone of The Hobbit a bit, but it does kind of stay at first in that.
The whimsy is still there.
Yeah, more whimsy. It's like I don't want to exactly say
but
child
it's
friendly,
higher
but
speed, higher.
Yeah, it's definitely elevated from The Hobbit, but at the beginning of the book, it definitely, you could tell he was writing it as a sequel to The Hobbit.
Yeah,
because even Aragorn speaks fairly plainly for Middle Earth, for the context in which they exist. Until basically they're on the Anduin and he sees, oh God, I'm blanking on the name of the giant statues on the Anduin.
The Argonath?
Argonath, yeah. And then all of a sudden he's like, his speech is so elevated. It's so different from Strider that we meet at the Prancing Pony.
Becomes like the warrior poet or something.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's almost like he steps into the role of, I am going to take back my kingdom fully in that moment, almost, like.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's like kind of the start. And then with Boromir too.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's it shows also how different book Aragorn and movie Aragorn are, and I don't say that in a way to in any way put down Viggo Mortensen's performance, because it was incredible, or even the way Aragorn was written for the movie, because I think it worked really well, him being a
reluctant sort of hero.
Yeah, the reluctant king, because I think part of that was probably a decision by Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh, and Philippa Boyens, I believe.
I feel like the book Aragorn is not. There's not really any conflict to him, which is kind of hard to.
It's not that compelling in movie form.
Yeah,
it's harder to connect to that as an audience member, and it's very easy. It's much easier to at least
identify.
Appreciate, or at least appreciate Aragorn as like, if can you imagine like if Viggo Mortensen was like, I'm gonna be the damn king again. Like this, I'm taking this back. He just wouldn't be as likable, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean,
he would. Coming into
book, but
hot is a hard sell in a movie when you're like. I think they played up the mystery more. I mean, he was kind of mysterious in the book as well, but like,
for sure, early on, you don't know if you can trust them that much. Yeah,
you're still getting snippets of like, this guy's already just self-assured, and he's already carrying his broken sword around and everything.
That the first time I actually read the books, I had already seen the films. So when I read that and went like, oh wait, he carries the broken sword around with him? What's the point of that?
Yeah. Well, it's his.
It is. But it is. It does belong to him. He is.
It's still sharp.
He's a Sealdor's heir. It's still sharp. Yeah. Yeah. That's actually one of the things I don't like in the movie is when Boromir drops the blade and just leaves it there. It's like Boromir would never do that.
Yeah, I don't think
it worked kind of in that scene to like kind of have
I
this
understand
tension.
But... Yeah, he was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
With Aragorn, I think.
Yeah, he didn't know who he was at that point either.
Yeah, he didn't know. It would have made more sense.
He finds out during the council.
Yeah, if he knew who Aragorn was and, dropped his sword and was basically just like, this is just uncomfortable. I'm getting out of here. But yeah, I don't. Yeah.
But either way, he would hold that in such reverence that he wouldn't let it. If he dropped it by accident, he wouldn't leave it on the floor and walk away like, this is an uncomfortable situation now. It's like, I dropped it. It's like, I look silly. I just dropped this thing. I'm gonna pretend I didn't notice.
Yeah,
he plays it off like you're in high school and dropped your book.
Yeah,
and going to look cool in front of a pretty girl.
He definitely didn't have the self-confidence of somebody out of high school in that scene. Which I feel like if Boromir has anything, it's confidence.
I mean, he just oozes confidence to a fault, arguably.
Yeah, to a fault.
It's like
he has a lot of positive qualities that he possesses to a fault.
Yeah, and he lets you know about all of his good qualities.
Yes, he's not shy.
I am very strong. I'll dig us out of this snow.
I would not say he's humble to a fault.
He is definitely not humble to a fault. You could make the argument that movie Aragorn is humble to a fault, even to a degree.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, do you have another question?
Let's see. Yeah. This is an interesting one, and I feel might become somewhat controversial even. What is your least favorite aspect of a Legendarium or the fandom, the lore, the Legendarium fandom as a whole? It's like if you have a least favorite aspect of Legendarium, or because for me, like my least favorite aspect of the Legendarium is how difficult some of the most interesting stories are to read.
Yeah, that is totally fair.
Because it's written in this, very, very stilted language that's,
it's hard to get on board with. For sure.
It's like reading the Bible mixed with a boring history book. It's not exciting to read because you have to take your time with it to understand what is actually happening.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll think about that. But as far as the fandom, I think a lot of people are great about it, but
I think overall it's a really good fandom.
Yeah,
actually,
for sure.
A lot of others, it's far less toxic, I would say. Not to pick on Star Wars, I enjoy Star Wars, but the fandom for Star Wars is
once Disney got a hold of it, people have just been. It just was so divisive that it just
Well, it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Like, it's,
just don't worry about it.
If you're a Star Wars fan, there's always the original trilogy. Like, if you're a Tolkien fan and you hate the Rings of Power, don't watch it. It's like the books are always going to be there. It's not like they're going away. Nothing's being ruined.
That kind of segues. It one of my least favorite things. It is pretty not gatekeepy, but people are pretty sort of
precious,
preachy, sort of condescending if you don't. I think it's the same with any fandom, though. There are people who have this like idea of what it is and what they enjoy about it and what it should be, and as soon as somebody does something with it that they don't like, or somebody says something about it they don't like, it's like
they feel personally attacked.
Yeah, and
there's an amount of defensiveness that I think always kind of comes when you're a hardcore fan of something. Back when I was in high school, for example, anything that wasn't hard rock or heavy metal sucked. And so and it's just it's always kind of a crappy attitude. It's something that I've really not been proud of in my past. I think how I've related to people. I'm like, oh, that thing you like sucks. I'm like, oh, that's kind of a crappy way to interact with people.
It's like, who cares what if somebody likes Rings of Power or the Hobbit movies or whatever.
Yeah,
everybody should like the Lord of the Rings movies, and if they don't, then
because they're good movies.
then they're bad people. But wait, hang on, I'm doing
it. I mean, that's the thing with the Hobbit movies. I mean, the worst offense that the Hobbit movies, I would say, had was that they weren't very good as movies. I think that's my biggest problem, because
it was
not great adaptation for sure, I would say, but most importantly, if you're going to do any adaptation, like, that thing has to be good. If it's a movie or you're doing like an album or you're making a video game, like, it has to be a good video game. It has to be a good record. It has to be a good movie.
Yeah.
And how true it is to the story is secondary, I would argue.
That's fair. I think the problem I had was similar to, I don't know if you've seen Avatar 2.
I have not seen even Avatar 1, actually.
Oh, well, good for you.
I'm a little picky when it comes to my James Cameron things. I'm like, Terminator rules, Aliens is great. I don't really like anything else he made.
It was just so, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it was so long for how much that happened that the Hobbit movies could have been a one long movie or two decent length movies and cut out a lot of the sort of cruft and crap, and it would have been great, I think.
Yeah, but, agreed.
Yeah, it was just sort of bloated with
it was definitely bloated. I mean, they just added so much. And I think one of the things that's most fun about The Hobbit is that the stakes are lower than Lord of the Rings, and by adding all that stuff about the extra stuff about the necromancer and the White Council fighting that, which is what happens.
But they showed it's that, cool, but it not necessary.
That's the thing. It's like you're raising the stakes and you're distracting from what the story is about. It's about a hobbit.
It's about a bunch of short people trying to get their house back.
I mean, the movie and the book is called The Hobbit. You should really mostly be focusing on the Hobbit the only Hobbit in the movie, in the story, really.
Yeah. I don't think we needed.
All
right. Yeah, that's enough about ranting about that.
I don't want to just crap on that movie, because there are plenty of aspects that I did really very much enjoy, actually, about The Hobbit.
And I don't remember if I sent you that super cut of the.
You still have not.
Okay, well, I'll try and find it again. I found it.
Tell the people what you're talking about, Sean.
There are multiple actually fan edits of the Hobbit movies that are cut together into like one long, I don't know, maybe 4 hours long or so movie, and it cuts out a lot of that stuff, and it's actually quite an enjoyable film. I mean, Martin Freeman did a great job, I think, as Bilbo.
He was a great Bilbo. I loved his Bilbo. He did a marvelous job as that character.
And the dwarves were, if too serious and maybe too hot at some points, they were still, I think, pretty in line with how the dwarves should have been. So,
with the exception of which was it, Killy or Philly has no beard. He's got a 5 o'clock shadow.
No, that's the hot
ludicrous. The hot. Yeah, you have to have a sexy dwarf.
Well, otherwise, how's an elf going to fall in love with him for some reason? Okay. All right, let me.
I don't want to just trash these.
Let's take a hard left turn here, and we're gonna
change the subject for us, Sean. Why don't you
pull into adaptation station? So,
oh man, I wish we had drops, like sound effects, so we could put a train whistle in there.
You're gonna have to figure out how to add that in post, my friend. So, as part of the eminent domain overarching theme here, adaptation station is the one-stop shop, I guess, for spin-offs and adaptations of the Tolkien Legendarium franchise. So I was I got a few suggestions bumping around up in my head if we're trying to make some bank off of
Let's
this.
make some more money.
Yeah, I mean,
Any
this
money.
this is clearly not precious to us. So
Yeah,
why don't we?
We don't love this enough to do a podcast about it or
No,
anything.
in 26 years, let's just. Oh no, wait. Yeah, no, it's 2049. So we've got some time to plan. But
yeah,
what do you say to the HGTV channel picking up a Hobbit home makeover series?
I actually would love that. I would genuinely love to actually have for that to exist.
You know what's messed up about this one? I think it's actually like almost feasible.
Yeah, or make it a PBS show. This old hole instead of this old house.
Oh, I don't even know that.
Yeah, oh, you don't know this old house? Well, this old
this
house.
Old hole. Oh, this old hole.
Yeah, this
this
old
yes,
house.
I thought you
familiar with that show?
I thought you said the sold house.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't know what that is. It might exist. Sorry, I don't know.
It could exist. Well, it could be the sold hole, but this old hole it works better, honestly.
And it's slightly dirty. So that'll get people in there.
Well, see, yeah, because you could have like some sort of weird, like the proud feet or proud foot or whatever it is. I mean, look at that guy. You think he's got a nice clean Hobbit home? I bet he's like a hoarder or something.
Yeah, I mean not all hobbits are as well put together as Bilbo and Frodo are. I'm sure there are plenty that
that's a nice Hobbit hole.
Yeah. Oh, it's a very nice Hobbit hole. Very luxurious.
Yeah.
But Daddy Proudfoot or Daddy Twofoot is probably.
Yeah, but you send a team in of. I mean, it would have to be more hobbits because humans already have a hard enough time fitting into those houses.
Yeah, based on how many times Gandalf bangs his head on the doorways in Bag End
and ceilings and everything. Yeah,
and
so
chandeliers and such. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, these guys are a great team. You could send them into a hole in the ground and come out with a Hobbit home.
Yeah,
you'd have
a Samwise would be the gardening landscaping expert for sure.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Him and the old gaffer.
Oh, yeah, the old gaffer is definitely going to be. Yeah, in
gruffly teach people about potatoes.
What's the guy in Pawn Stars? The dad. There's like the.
Oh, I don't know older names.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the older guy who they just kind of come in for advice from. Whenever that's the old gaffer. He's just he's not
also the surliest person in the show. Yeah.
Yeah. He's grumpy, but the people love him. They can't get enough.
I mean, he gets people to tune in, and that's what it's all about. Again, we're making money here. This is what
this is purely I'm trying to profit off of this thing that I have some limited knowledge of.
Profit off of someone else's hard work. Isn't that the American way?
It truly is. Yeah, so
I think that's one of the many reasons that Tolkien hated Walt Disney actually so much. He's just profiting off of other people's work and creating nonsense.
Well, we will just it'll be long enough, The statute of it. Yeah. He might be turning in his grave, but at least we're making our quick buck.
I mean, yeah, it's not our grave.
True. Yeah. So, all right. I like this old hole. I think that's got to be it.
Yeah. Public television. That's where all the money's at.
See, I thought that would be goofier, but yeah, when I said it out loud, I realized how
it's quite appealing, isn't it?
Yeah, how possible that is that could actually even just happen.
Oh yeah. The whole
there's got to be a YouTube channel of people that are like making Hobbit homes.
I would be shocked if there isn't. I know there has to be companies that do specialize in like underground homes.
All right, we're
There's
gonna
a
do
lot of
some
practicality
research
to that too.
Yeah,
There's a lot of practicality to an underground home. You know, the temperature is stable in both winter and summer. It'll be warm in the winter, cool in the summertime.
All right, this is all sounding far too logical.
Yeah, we're making way too much sense. There's no way this is fun to listen to.
All right, so do you have another question, or do you want me to ask a question that isn't quite as...
You should ask one, because I'm realizing as I'm looking at my list of questions and topic conversations, they're all like, "What's your favorite?" Blah 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 blah.
Oh man, yeah,
they're all.
I have a number of those.
I mean, they're the easiest ones to come up with.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I didn't realize until this moment how lazy I was being coming up with these topics of conversation.
Well, all right. How about this one? Which fellowship member are you? Like, who do you see? You know, if you're like taking the Sporkle quiz, whatever, you probably don't know what you know. Sporkle.
I don't, but I'm assuming it's the same thing as BuzzFeed. They also have a lot of quizzes and nonsense.
Similar enough, yeah. They have.
Yeah, it's close.
I feel like BuzzFeed actually probably fits better, but yeah, it's just. It's one of those like personality test things, but this is like just your straight up answer. Who do you think?
Well, without thinking about it and just who I would want to be, I mean, the last episode we both said our favorite character is Gandalf. So I want to say Gandalf. He gets to carry a big stick. He's got a cool sword. He's got the coolest outfit.
He speaks loudly and carries a big stick.
And and you know, he's got that great beard.
You do have a great beard yourself.
Oh, thank you. I am growing out my hair and my beard so that I can eventually, when I turn gray, look like Gandalf. But I'll probably just look like a crusty old man. Which, I mean, Gandalf was actually kind of a crusty old man.
He kind of was.
He was weather stained and
gray,
he was effectively homeless by choice. So he was the great pilgrim. He was just a wanderer. Yeah, if they had trains in Middle Earth, he would be a hobo.
Right, this is starting to sound more like you would be Gandalf, but
I know I'm actually talking myself into it.
No offense, you're just not. I think you need a few years.
That's fair. I'm only 33. I've only just come of age in Hobbit terms. So
yeah, he's wise and faithful to his God and his friends.
I'd like to say that I'm at least faithful, if not nearly as wise as I'd like to believe I am.
Yeah, I think give you a few years, I could see Gandalf.
Yeah, maybe after I microdose mushrooms, we'll see how wise I become after that.
You'll certainly be wizened. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'm not a wizard, definitely wizened for sure. Yeah. I mean, Gandalf is my gut immediate response to that. I will say, even though I am not like, I'm not similar to Boromir, but there are a lot of aspects of Boromir that I really can connect to.
Yeah,
I feel like he's.
I think we're both a little cowardly, and Boromir is not that.
He's definitely not cowardly for anything else that he is. He's definitely not cowardly. So I wouldn't like to describe myself as cowardly, but I don't.
No, that's
I'm not particularly bold or. I'm definitely not bold in terms of with danger for sure.
How
about you? Who'd you?
I think Boromir. I think he's one of the more identifiable members of the Fellowship for anybody because he's one of the most human. He makes mistakes and all that stuff.
Yes, he's very he's the most fallible of all of them. I mean, he's the only man other than Aragorn, and Aragorn, is
kind of perfect.
Yeah, I mean, he's from the High Men. He's
better than us.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, Tolkien doesn't make that very clear.
But
Aragorn is better than everybody else. Oh, well, I'm definitely not Aragorn then.
That would be a good intro. Once he, after he's all mysterious and dark, he just comes right out and says, "I'm Aragorn, and I'm better than all of you." It's not a.
I don't say that to be a dick. I'm just saying.
Just a statement of fact.
It's like, I mean, if he did say that, he wouldn't be wrong either.
He wouldn't be wrong. It wouldn't make him likable, but he wouldn't be wrong.
It would not make him likable, yeah.
I think I'm probably the most like Mary.
All right, yeah. Mary's a good choice, actually, because he's not as goofy as Pippin.
Yeah, I don't think I'm that goofy, but he's got a lot of like, I love to make a sassy remark. And Mary loves a good sassy remark.
He really does. He does.
He throws in a lot of clever jokes and stuff, which I like to think that that's a significant portion of my personality. And
yeah, for sure.
I'm a bit bigger than Mary.
Yeah, you're only like 3 feet taller than he was. Maybe 3.5.
I'm only about twice his size.
Yeah,
I don't think we can compare.
For your post in draft, though.
Yeah, he. Yeah, I'd love to say, Aragorn. I don't know if I'd love to say Legolas. He's a little too haughty, but
yeah, Legolas is. Just the whole elf thing makes him. He's not a strong personality, really, Legolas.
No, not in the.
It's like he's very much comfortable and quiet in who he is, and that quiet confidence that I think only elves really can have.
Yeah, he's also not even. He sort of represents the elf.
For sure.
For his world.
Yeah,
so he doesn't have that much. Indeed. Depth to him. I mean, Gimli also sort of represents the dwarven archetype.
But Gimli is a strong personality.
Yeah, he does.
It's like he's a very well fleshed out.
Yeah, certainly in the books more so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In the books for sure. I mean, in the films, he's. I love how John Rhys Davies played him, but also the characters. Yeah, I mean, they did make him the comic relief, and he is very funny in the books. It's not as if that's an unreasonable choice to make, but
everybody's kind of funny in the books, though.
Yeah, everybody's got a moment or two.
Frodo's never funny.
That's not true, actually. I think I like the part where after they leave the Fellowship and he and Sam are being stalked by Gollum and they're climbing down the Emyn Muil, and he's like laughing at Sam after the rope comes undone. He's like, "Sam, you ass!" It's a good thing it held, you idiot. It's like,
especially
in the business a little bit, but you're right. He's the least funny character.
Yeah, in the beginning, he also is much more lighthearted, and he's making some jokes before they fully left the Shire, like maggots and stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
but
that ring really makes him a downer, doesn't it? It's like being the ring bearer, really.
It's
like, man, you are not that fun.
If this was like, if the ring had a magical tag from like a D&D or something, it would just be the ring of like party pooping, something like that. Yeah.
It's almost like carrying the weight of this evil object that could destroy all of Middle Earth. Is like it's really like that. Really, it's gonna kill your sense of humor.
Yeah, the ring of invisibility and not having a good time.
Yeah, it's.
All right. Yeah, when you phrase it like that, I guess it's understandable.
One of the many side effects of the ring is like you're not gonna have a very good time. I mean, look at Gollum. Does he look like he was better off for having the ring all those years? I would say no.
He certainly didn't get funnier. He didn't get to be more fun at parties after he wore the ring for 500 years or whatever it was.
He most certainly did not. Yeah. It's like he gets himself chased away from his family and friends, and then just mutters to himself for the next couple hundred years or however old he is.
I will say muttering to yourself, kind of a party foul.
Yeah, I can, and that is one that I'm most guilty of myself, actually. What,
you sit in the corner and mutter?
You know what? Yourself? I really do like eating raw fish and muttering to myself in the corner, hunched over.
Remind me to not invite you to my next birthday party. Zerbe's gnawing on the bones again.
It's like, oh my god, he's over there again. Jesus.
It keeps saying juicy sweet. It's just weirding everybody out.
It's like, I don't know what this weird gurgling noise he's making in the back of his throat. It's very uncomfortable for everybody, though.
It's like, do you want to get him a lozenge or maybe some
get this man a recon.
some allergy medicine or something? It's probably from eating all the raw fish.
It's like he's got mercury poisoning for all the raw fish. He's losing his mind.
Wait, hang on. That might explain a thing or two.
That's the real source of Gollum's insanity and de-evolution.
The ring was just a ring. The problem is it had some mercury. He
was dumping mercury into the Anduin.
Okay, well,
corporations polluting.
You're giving me an idea for another recurring bit here.
What? Class action lawsuits in Middle Earth?
Something I was thinking more along like yeah, that is also a good idea. I was thinking conspiracy theories, but I like the we'll bring if there are any class action lawsuits being litigated in Middle Earth, we will bring them to everybody's attention.
Middle Earth conspiracy theories. I'm writing it down because I feel like that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think we're gonna run out of questions on our what's your favorites very soon. So I think we're just gonna have to go oops all bits in multiple episodes. But as far as this episode goes,
wait to think of Middle Earth conspiracy theories now. I love that. Oh, that'll be a good time.
Yeah, well, I think that's about all the time we've got for today.
Yeah, I think so. Where are we at? 52 minutes. Yeah.
So
there's got to be enough to edit down that's actually listenable here.
Once you cut out all the dead air and stuff, we've got at least 20 minutes.
It's gonna be a great 5-minute episode.
But I figured out how to end the show.
Yes,
it's not just sort of figuring out how to say goodbye in Elvish. It's we're gonna share a fun fact about Tolkien.
Oh yeah, right.
So, would you like me to go first, or do you think you've got one lined up?
Do you have one lined up? You should probably go. This is going to be the same.
Well, this no, this is more about getting put on the spot. So,
okay, shit. Okay, yeah, no, okay.
no. I got it. I came up with the bit. It's only fair that I do it. All right. So, fun fact about Tolkien is that he was very vehemently and vocally against the existence of Olive Garden.
I heard that as well. I think that's in letter 249.
Yeah, he in one of his what a lot of critics call most racy and just downright cruel letters, he condemned the existence of Olive Garden.
Yes, that definitely happened. That's definitely a true fact. I have another true fact actually about J.R.R. Tolkien. The second R, people think it's John Ronald Reuel Tolkien. He's actually John Ronald MacDonald Tolkien. This is his birth name.
Yeah, the classic the silent R at the beginning of McDonald. Yeah. So, there you go. Well, you got a 2-for-1, and they were both equally idiotic and true.
Yeah. Idiotic and 100% true.
Which just about sums up the entire podcast, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, now on that note, we say Namarie.
Namarie.